Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's Tom, Little Loft on the Hill. It's Monday morning, about 8 o'clock. If my boss is watching, I'm deathly ill and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get out of bed today. Last night we basketed birds and we shipped for a race to Valmy, Nevada. It's 252 miles to me. I wasn't able to make basketing, but I had a buddy ship my birds. So I'm sitting next to an empty loft. I want to talk to you about Winnemucca. Winnemucca was the race last weekend. It was 234 miles. There were 17 lofts, 239 birds in the race. We were back up in the top 10%. We were 16th, 17th, and 18th bird. We were the 4th loft. So I'm real happy with how the birds did. The motivation worked. Silvio, I guess I owe you lunch, so we'll have to settle up at some point. Just real quick, well, I think the difference between last week's race of Winnemucca when I was 16th place and the race before that, Imlay, was 203, and that's when I was like 90th place, well below 20%. Kind of what happened, and I contribute that, I think, really to two things. I didn't train down the road at all the week before that Imlay race. I didn't have time. I couldn't do it. But I loft flew them every day. And I think really that was the difference. The race last week to Winnemucca, I trained 3 times down the road: a 40-mile toss, a 30-mile toss, and another 40-mile toss. I think the birds just had more time on the wing, and it's not even time on the wing. I think when they're flying around the loft, they're flying in a circle, and so the inside birds don't fly as much as the outside birds, and they coast quite a bit. And when you take them down the road and you release them, they're all flying the same distance, they're all flying straight, and they have to flap their wings to get home. They're not as much coasting. I think they get a better, honestly, a better workout when I do that. But with gas prices, it's crazy. Oh, sorry. The other thing that I think contributed to kind of a lousy race at Imlay at 203 miles is I had cocks driving hens. Anytime that's going on, the birds aren't resting. They're just kind of creating chaos, and I think it affects all the birds. And I think that was one of the contributing factors. That might work in our favor today. Who knows? I've got one pair on eggs 14 days, and I sent both of them, and I've got another pair on eggs. They've been on eggs 10 days. So I pulled the eggs as they laid them, and I put wooden eggs under them. We'll see if those birds do well or not. I'll keep you posted on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the survey and next year. So next year I'm going to be flying other people's birds. I'm not going to be messing with breeding birds at all. I have 24 of you have filled out the survey. I really appreciate the faith in me and let me race your birds. I think this will be a lot of fun. 14 of you are content creators. A different 14, not necessarily the same, sent birds out to one loft races, and that's what I was kind of surprised in. A lot of you sent birds out to one loft races this year. It looks like I had 4 of those that completed the survey. There were 4 in the Hoosier Classic, 4 in the Apple Cup. There were 3 at Jerry's One Loft, 3 at the Peach Classic. There were 3 at the Texas Dash. 2 sent birds to Southern Belle this year, 2 to Pioneer, 2 to Black Gold. And then there was also represented with San Juan Classic, New England Derby, Trappers, Rock Creek, Rocky Mountain, Big Andes, Cuevas, Breeders' Fall Classic, Fast Eddie's, the Florida Pigeon Derby, Tucson Triple Challenge, the Omaha Grain Belt, and a couple of you had birds in the AU convention. We're going to have some really good birds next year. I know that it's going to be a small race team, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to leave the survey up for another week. I said I'll pull it down on the 1st. So there's still time if you want to get in there. If there's any way that I could fit in more birds, I'd try to do it. But with the small loft, I just can't, and I want to fly out of the small loft. I have plenty of room. I mean, I could build a huge loft, and I had an 8x40 loft on this property that I flew out of, and honestly, it was almost like a second job. It became too much work, and that's when I had 3 other kids at home, and it was difficult. So I took that loft down. There were, I've got some pictures of it. Maybe I'll show you. But the sport is dwindling. Maybe not in every area, definitely, but in my area, club and combine racing is dwindling. And I think it's important to show that you can take a small loft. That my footprint here is 4x8. It's a sheet of plywood that I kind of built from that, and still have fun and also still be competitive and successful. I think I'm having a great year. I banded 20 babies. 20 babies made it to this loft. We have 12 here. We've had 5 races. I haven't lost a bird in a race. And I'm doing really well. I mean, I've been in the top 10% in 3 of the races, the top 20 in the one. I did have that one race where we were like 90 whatever place we were. But you know, I'm hoping we get a combine win. It's not too late. Unfortunately, because of that fire, we were postponed 3 weeks. So we've had our first race on time, first Saturday in August, and then we had 3 weeks off. And that's pushed us back 3 weeks. And I've got a father-in-law with an 80th birthday I've got to get to out of town, and we've got a couple other family things going on that we've scheduled, you know, long before the race season. I'm trying to work it out to race the next 2 races, but I don't know if it's gonna pan out or not. This might be it for us, but we'll see. If at all possible, I want to race next week and the week after. Anyway, I hope all those that are in the Hoosier today do well, and take care.